that you can do with Tableau. Once you have seen all of the features that the Tableau is going to provide to you, you must be excited to be working with the Tableau. But one more important point that all of us need to concentrate on when you start working with any kind of software is that even in your Microsoft Word or in your Microsoft PowerPoint, when you try to do something, it is not that you do and then you leave it. It always you wanted to retain the work that you have done with the software. So the software should provide you a capability to do a kind of saving your work, and also if you wanted to share some of your work with others, most of the softwares come up with the capability to do that. Tableau is definitely a no exception to that, because Tableau is all about telling stories with your data and coming up with extraneous storyline and the dashboards that you are coming up with your Tableau, and you just wanted to make use of that and expose your work to others. That's very important. So in that context, Tableau should have a provision to actually share your work and also to save your work. So this session, we are going to concentrate on the different options the Tableau is providing in terms of saving and sharing your work. So this session is just going to be an overview of what and all you can do with saving, what and all you can do with saving and sharing. Of course, we have a separate session at the end of the course where you can actually explore on the saving and sharing in detail. All right. Now that we have got a point that saving and sharing is important, now let's see what are all the things Tableau is providing for me. First of all of us are very much aware that when we take a Tableau, we have different versions. Not a different version, different flavors are there. So most of us will be using a Tableau desktop, and you know that it is a licensed version, and it do have a lot of features where you can save and share your work. Coming to Tableau Online, also there is an option to save and perform a sharing. Of course, that you cannot do it in your local machine. Okay, and let's see how things are done in both the cases. Now let's have a discussion about how you can perform the save in desktop, Tableau desktop. How do you perform the saving? So there are 4 things that you can actually do with a Tableau desktop. Okay. First thing is, see, when you are working with your Microsoft PowerPoint or when you're working with your Microsoft Word, most of the time you might end up with losing some data earlier days. But now we have a feature called as automatic saving. So you don't have to worry if your system is crashing or your software is crashing, because you will be in a position to recover what you have actually written it. So Tableau desktop actually will automatically save your work for every few minutes. Okay. So in case if your desktop is closed unexpectedly or some kind of crashing which has happened with your system, you don't have to worry about, because this feature will take care of automatically saving the workbook. So generally this feature is by default it will be enabled, but you can actually turn on and turn off. The settings that you need to follow for turning on and turning off this particular feature of auto saving is, just you have to go to help and then click on settings and performance, click on enable auto save. Okay. So in case if a Tableau is going to be crashed, only once you have done this process, in case if a Tableau is going to be crashed, a recovered version of your workbook will be automatically created. And this is what you call it as a, it will be saved in your My Tableau repository. Under your workbooks, you can see that this particular version is being stored. Okay. So if you go to the same place, from the same place, whatever files you do not want it, you can just go ahead and perform the deletion as well. Absolutely no issues. So just if you make sure just this option is enabled, it is going to take care of auto saving what you are writing in your Tableau workbook. So this is first option. And the second option is, of course, the regular saving mechanism that we follow, right? So whenever you open your Tableau desktop, automatically a new workbook will be created, right? You will connect your source. Suppose, for example, if we see here in our Tableau online, in case if we will, this is how you will open it, right? So when you create your workbook, it is going to automatically create a new workbook for you. And then in your new workbook, basically, this is the workbook. It'll ask for the connection. So you'll do a connection here. Once your connection is done, then a new workbook will be created. So this is your new workbook, right? So you will have an option to perform the saving. You can see 3 options out over there. One is select file and then save option. Okay. So once you click on that, you can actually, you can have more than one sheet also. This complete thing will be called as a workbook. Okay. And then if you will try to save this, it will automatically save this as a .twb extension. Okay. Which is nothing but Tableau's workb, .twb, which is your Tableau's workbook. Okay. So again, where it will be stored means, of course, in the My Tableau repository. Under that, worksheets will be there, workbooks will be there. You can store it. And one more thing that you need to remember is that when you are clicking on save and then you are being asked to give the file name. So you need to give the file. You cannot use certain characters in your file name. Okay. So that is displayed here. So you cannot use a forward slash, you cannot use a backward slash, greater than symbol, less than symbol, asterisk symbol. So all of these things could not be used when you are giving your name for the workbook. When you try to save your workbook, you give a name, right? So in your name, you should not be including all these things. Okay. So this is the regular saving that you can do. And also there will be one more option, which is your save as option. This is similar to what you do in other softwares like your Microsoft Word and Excel. So a save as option, you wanted to save that with a different name or something, you can use a save as option and save it. And if you remember, we also saw one more option, which was our reverting the option. So here you give the file name and then you click on save. Okay. Now what you have is revert option. Okay. So revert will take you, like, if you have saved it, it will unsave and then it will go back to the previous option. So that is also possible. Okay. Next, this is another way of saving your workbook. This is the regular way of using your workbook. And the next part is, okay, so the next part is you just wanted to save a packaged workbook. Packaged workbook basically will contain, see, you have a workbook and inside your workbook, say for example, you have used images from other sources and then you have used data from other sources. Okay. So you wanted to keep all of these things, and then when you are saving your workbook, you wanted this linkage also to be saved. Okay. So in that point of time, when you want to do that, what you do is you just try to save that as a packaged workbook. Okay. So when you will try to save as a packaged workbook, the only difference what you need to make is that you need to save that as a TWB. BX. Okay, you can see the file extension here. Okay, so TWB means it is a Tableau's workbook. Okay, so if I will save it as TWBX, which is a Tableau's packaged workbook, which means that anything that you have external embedding, if it is there in your workbook, that is going to be retained. Okay, so this is also one more way you can use it to save your workbook. And then finally what we have is saving a bookmark. Okay, so saving a bookmark, a bookmark, why you will be using it, that you can have a single worksheet as a Tableau bookmark. Okay, So when you will save the bookmark, Tableau is what it is going to do is it is just going to create a snapshot of your worksheet. Okay. And then you can actually access this bookmark from any of the, from any workbook, you can actually access this bookmark. Okay. So how do you create a bookmark? It is given here. So you have a window option inside which bookmark is there. Then you click on create a bookmark. That is going to create the bookmark. And then you have to basically specify the file name here. As it is mentioned here, you have to specify the file name. So once you have specified the file name, you can actually see the type of the file is .tbm. Okay, which means it is a Tableau's bookmark. Okay, so this is something which will be useful when you have a large you wanted to organize certain things. So at that point of time, you can actually use your bookmark. You can have n number of bookmarks. So if you have n number of bookmarks, again, you can follow how the directory structure is followed in your file system, right? Similar way, you can follow the hierarchical system that could be followed for managing and maintaining your bookmark as well. Okay. So this is relative to your desktop. So when I talk about a desktop, there are multiple ways of saving the work that I have done. How do I save the work in my desktop means? I can save it through 4 means. One is by like auto saving is there. Second one is just the regular file and then save and save as option is there. And the third one is you want to save it as a packaged bookmark. You can do it. You can save it as a bookmark. You can do it. So these are the 4 options available with the Tableau in terms of saving. Okay, so which is your desktop. So next thing what we will explore is that in case if you have a Tableau online and then in a Tableau online you wanted to save. Okay, so there are a couple of ways actually to save your work. So first thing is you can actually save a workbook. Okay, so you can just to specify the project that you want to save your workbook, and that will automatically be saved in the corresponding project. So whenever you are going to create a new workbook or edit an existing workbook on Tableau or Tableau server or Tableau online, so you can save it at any point of time. So that is nothing but you have to just go to file and then click on save. Okay. Or otherwise, suppose in case if you do not want to overwrite the existing view with your changes, you can save a copy of that existing workbook. So for that, you will be using a save a copy option will be there. So how do you do that is nothing but file and then click on save as. Okay. So in that save as, like this is how you will create, you will save your copy. So you'll have file, save as is there. And then you can give the name for the workbook. You need to specify the name. And then you can select the project, whichever project you wanted, you can select it. Okay. And these two are optional things. Like you can show the sheets as a tabs if you want to, you can do that. And also if you want to embed a password, that could be done, and then click on save. So that is just to, you do not want to override the previous things and you wanted to just save the updation in other file. You can do that by making use of save as option. And one more thing which is there is your saving the changes as a custom view. Okay. So what is this saving the changes as a custom view is that, okay, suppose if you are making some kind of changes to a view every time you open it, you may be thinking that you wanted to save those changes as a custom view. Okay. So this will not be available in web editing mode, but can be accessed when you open a view to interact with it. Okay. So a custom view actually will not change the original content, but it will be like, updated or republished. Okay. Then the custom view is also updated. Okay. So this is these are the very few options which is available when we wanted to actually save our work in our Tableau online. In fact speaking, we will not be in a position to do any kind of high level saving that you wanted to do with Tableau workshop and workbook, and also like you don't have a local access. Okay. So that is the major problem with your Tableau online, and that's why the Tableau desktop will be mostly used. And then finally what you have is the public one, right? So that's one more flavor, and that is a complete free software in fact. So Tableau public is, you just have to log in with your credentials. Once you have logged in with your credentials, then you can actually have a save option itself directly that is going to save your workbook. Okay. And this is how you can save it. Okay. Now what you can do is that okay, now what we have done is we have just saved the work. Okay, either in a desktop or in an online or in a public version, you know how to save your work. Once you have saved your work, what you wanted to do is you wanted to perform certain things with your work. Most of the time, what you will end up doing is that you might want to use the work that you have created, or you wanted to share the work that you have created. These are the two things you might be interested in doing it. Okay. So first thing is, in case if you wanted to use your work, from your work, what do you want to use it? How do you want to use it? There are a lot of questions that might be there in your mind. Suppose, for example, I have created a workbook. Okay. And this workbook has got some visualization. Fine. Now I wanted to get these visualization in the form of a PowerPoint so that I can just, I can do the presentation. So for that, I just wanted to get my visualization in the form of PPT. So this is how I wanted to use my work, right? So you can actually use this work in this format. Okay. In all the, whether it is a Tableau online or a desktop, you have the option to use this work in these manners. So if you wanted your work to be saved as, used as an image, you can use it. If you wanted to download your works only data, if you wanted to download, that also you can do it. In the form of a PDF you wanted, just because you're going to do a print, that is also possible. You wanted that as a PowerPoint just because you're going to do a presentation, that is also possible. Okay. So just that there will be a menu like this in your Tableau online, and then you have to just go ahead and click download, and then it is going to give you these options from which you can select it. Okay. Now, when it comes to your Tableau desktop, where do you find this Tableau desktop is that, from the Tableau Works desktop, you have an option called as worksheet. Click on that. Then you will be having an option like exporting it. So if you click on export, you will have multiple ways of how do you want your export. How do you want to perform your exporting? Whether you wanted it to be in the form of a PDF or PPT, it will give you the options. So you can select that option and that will take care of exporting it. Okay. So this is the way you are going to use your work with your Tableau's desktop. Suppose in case if you have selected that as an image, this is the option you are going to get it, and it will give you an option to copy your image. Suppose if you wanted to use the data. Okay. So you just wanted your data to be exported to a CSV file. That is also possible. Just you have to go here from this pane, just you have to click on it, select your view data. Once your view data is being displayed, you have your view data here. In this view data, you have an export option is available. Okay. So you can just export it using this option. Like this is the way you can get your data from your Tableau. Okay. Now, yeah. So very much we know how we can actually save your work, and then how do we use your work. Okay. So using the work in terms of exporting it, that's what we have seen. So you have your work exported as well as you have your work saved. Next, very obvious thing what you wanted to do is that you wanted to share the work that you have done. Okay. So again, the sharing the work in is also like, depending on if it is going to be a desktop, the way you will share is different. And if it is going to be a public, the way you are going to share your work is slightly different. So you need to understand how you're going to publish your work, or how do you actually save your, share your work. Okay. So in case if it is a public one, just that you have to log in using your credentials, you have to log in. Okay. And once you have done with your login with your credentials, then you can actually click on your, you can actually click on your, so you just go to select, then you have to choose your server. Once you have chosen your server, then you have to actually click on Tableau's public, and then you have to click on to Tableau's save to Tableau public. After you have done that, what is the option that you're going to get is basically you're going to get this option of uh, giving your credentials. So once you have done entering the credentials, okay, then it will ask for the data source page. Okay. So if it is live, then you need to change it to extract, after which again you have to select the server, and then you have to try to click on to save to Tableau's public. Then your browser will open. Then you just have to whatever story you have embedded, like this, if you have embedded your story, you just have to review that. So it looked like this. And then if you wanted to perform any kind of editing in terms of the details or description, if you wanted to do that, you can do it. And then you can click on the save. Once it is saved, you have an option like sharing. And how do you want to share it? Whether you wanted to embed the code or you wanted to link it or send a link. So embedding the code, just you have to copy that embed code and paste it in your web page, HTML page, and then you can share it. Otherwise, you can copy this link and then send it to the, you can email your link, or, you can share it in your Twitter, you can share it in your Facebook. All of these things could be done. This is in terms if you do not have your Tableau server. Okay. So if in case if your company is not using a Tableau server, and you wanted to use Tableau public for publishing your work, these are the options that you have to follow it. In case if your company is having a Tableau server, then there are different things that you can do it. Okay. So what you can do is just directly there will be a server option available. You just have to click on server, and then you will automatically have publishing your workbook option, and then you can click on share there itself. Okay. Once that is done, it will ask, this dialog box will come where you have to enter the name of the server. So if your organization is using your server, you will enter the name of those servers, details you will be sending it. You'll be putting it over there. Okay. So once that is done, you will try to perform a connection. Once the connection is done, okay, and under sheets you have to go, and then you have to give the name for your sheet. Okay. And once if in case if you're having more than one sheets in that same workbook, you just have to clear all those sheets, and then you just keep whichever visualization you wanted to share it, that alone you will keep it. Suppose for example, this is the work sheet that I wanted to share it. I'm just keeping this name. Okay. And then I have given a description over here. So once the description is here, and then the project name is there. Okay. So then what are the sheets that you're going to select it will come. So you can select the sheet. Other things could be removed. Okay. So once that is done, you can automatically go ahead and then click on publish. Okay. So once you click on publish, it will just open in your internet browser like this. So once it is opened in an internet browser like this, it will allow you to enter your server credentials. And once your publishing is completed, okay, then you will get again the same thing, like embedding your code or embedding like a link, you will get an option. Okay, so you can just copy and paste it as you wish. Okay, so this is just a high level overview to understand how you can perform this saving and then using the data of what you have saved, and also how you can share your work in Tableau. Okay, so we will look very detailedly in how does this saving would happen in the coming sessions. But just to give you a high level overview, that's all I have for this session. Okay, so that's all for this session.